You made a fascinating point toward the end of the panel when the moderator, Larry Brilliant, asks, what is the one message you really want to share at the end of this session? And you mentioned kind of the state of the world we're in and how we're all becoming inward looking. And what does that mean for global health and pandemics? And I'd love for you to just share again your point you made earlier.
Well, the most important thing for me is what happens in Phnom Penh, capital of Cambodia, what happens in Freetown, in Sierra Leone, actually affects you wherever you live in the world. And that's not just because we share humanity, it's actually because it's in your narrow self-interest to take attention to that. And if the world goes back to caring about ourselves as individuals, it goes back to caring about our nations as opposed to the world, then all of the great challenges of the 21st century, whether it's climate change, environmental degradation, and emerging infections, we cannot address them as nation states. So if we go back to that world, which we tried in the 20th century, and it didn't turn out well, then we won't have learnt the lessons from history.
I wonder, last question for you before you leave, what are you doing at Wellcome Trust to address some of these dynamics we've just discussed?
So many things. I mean, we've got a big program around environmental change and health, and I think one of the lessons of the environmental movement for me over the last 20, 30 years is there has not been a close enough connection with people's lives today. The environmental change that's going on, the climate change that's going on, is not just something that will affect your children and your grandchildren at the end of the century.
Right.
This is affecting our health today. Pandemics are a part of that. Pollution in urban centres are a part of that. So that's a big push within Wellcome. But perhaps more importantly than all of that, it's at a time when we are in danger of going back to looking at ourselves and individual countries. It's actually reaching out to others, similar-minded organisations and dissimilar, the Skoll Foundation, Larry Brilliant's work, and ourselves, and saying we can actually stand for something more than just ourselves. And if we do work together in those ways, in a partnership, Gates Foundation and others, actually you can make the world a better place.